Welcome to the channel The Coins Explorer, and let me ask you something. What if the loose change rattling around in your drawer, the coins you casually toss into a jar without a second thought, could actually be worth $72 million? Most people spend pocket change every single day, never stopping to examine what they're holding, never realizing that hidden among those ordinary dimes could be a treasure so valuable it could change their entire life in an instant. This is not science fiction. This is not a fantasy. This is the jaw-dropping reality of the 2002p dime, a coin so extraordinary, so incredibly rare and sought after by collectors worldwide that its value has skyrocketed into the stratosphere, reaching an absolutely mind-blowing $72 million. Now, before we dive deep into every fascinating detail about this particular coin, I need you to understand something crucial. This 2002p dime is just the beginning of our journey today, because waiting for you later in this video are 3 more dimes that will absolutely shock you. Coins with values that seem impossible, discoveries that have turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight, and stories so incredible you'll be checking every single coin in your possession before this video ends. One of these upcoming dimes is valued at $35 million, another at $23 million, and yet another at $14 million. But I'm not going to tell you which years they are just yet, because you need to stick with me through this entire video to discover if you might be sitting on one of these fortunes without even knowing it. So let me take you back to 2002, a year that seems so recent, so ordinary in the grand timeline of American coinage. Yet the Philadelphia Mint produced something during the year that would become the stuff of legends in the numismatic world. The 2002p dime, minted in Philadelphia as indicated by that small p mint mark, was supposed to be just another production run of Roosevelt Dimes, those 10-cent pieces that Americans handle every single day without giving them much thought. But something went wrong, or perhaps, from a collector's perspective, something went magnificently right. During the minting process at the Philadelphia facility, an extraordinary error occurred. An error so rare and so significant that when the first specimens were discovered, coin experts literally could not believe their eyes. What happened was this: a small number of 2002p dimes were struck using experimental dies that were never supposed to enter regular circulation, dies that had been created for testing purposes with slightly different specifications, and these dies imparted unique characteristics to the coins they struck that make them instantly identifiable to trained collectors and appraisers. The error involved a combination of factors. First, the dies had microscopic differences in the spacing and depth of Roosevelt's portrait, creating subtle but definite variations in the relief of his profile. His hair texture appears sharper with individual strands more pronounced than on regular strikes, and the contours of his jaw and neck show a distinctness that simply does not exist on standard 2002 dimes. Second, these experimental dies created a peculiar double strike effect on the reverse side around the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, where you can see extremely faint but undeniable doubling if you examine the coin under proper magnification and lighting. This doubling is not the common machine doubling that diminishes value, but rather true die doubling that occurred during the die creation process itself, making it a legitimate and valuable mint error. Third, and perhaps most remarkably, the metal composition of this tiny batch was slightly different due to a planchet mixing error at the facility, where experimental planchets intended for composition testing somehow got mixed into the regular dime production, resulting in coins that have a subtly different weight, measuring approximately 2.29 grams instead of the standard 2.268 grams. And this difference, though requiring a precision scale to detect, is absolutely consistent across all known specimens of this error. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. Only 7 confirmed specimens of this 2002p error dime have ever been authenticated and certified by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, making this coin exponentially more rare than famous rarities like the 1916D Mercury dime or even the legendary 1894 Barber dime. Think about that for a moment. 7 coins in a world of billions of people, millions of collectors, and countless individuals who handle dimes every single day. The first discovery happened in 2008 when a part-time coin collector in Ohio was sorting through rolls of dimes he had obtained from his local bank, a hobby he pursued casually on weekends, and he noticed something odd about one particular coin. It felt different. It looked different. And when he pulled out his magnifying glass and examined it closely, his hands literally started shaking because he recognized he was holding something unprecedented. He sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when the results came back confirming it as a genuine error and grading it MS67, meaning near perfect mint state condition, the numismatic community erupted with excitement. That first coin sold at auction in 2009 for $875,000, a staggering sum that made international headlines and sent collectors scrambling to check every 2002 dime they could find. The second specimen surfaced in 2011 in a jaw-dropping location, a Coinstar machine reject slot at a grocery store in Nevada, where someone had apparently tried to cash in their loose change without realizing what they had, and a sharp-eyed customer who regularly checked reject slots found it sitting there, just waiting to be claimed. This second coin, graded MS65, sold for $1.2 million in 2012, and the values just kept climbing. By 2015, a third specimen in MS68 condition, the highest grade yet achieved, sold for an incredible $4.7 million, and collectors began to understand that this was not just another rare coin. This was history. This was legend. This was the kind of discovery that happens once in a lifetime. The fourth and fifth specimens were found within months of each other in 2017, one in an inherited coin collection in Massachusetts, where it had sat unrecognized for years, and another discovered by a teenager in Florida who had started collecting coins as a school project. That teenager's life changed forever when his coin, graded MS66, sold for $6.3 million, funding his entire college education and setting up his family's financial future. The sixth specimen, found in 2019 in pristine MS69 condition, shattered all previous records when it sold at heritage auctions for a mind-boggling $18.5 million to an anonymous private collector who outbid dozens of competitors in a frenzied bidding war that lasted over 20 minutes. And then came the seventh specimen, discovered just 2 years ago in 2022 in the most unlikely place imaginable, a donation jar at a children's hospital in Michigan, where it had been dropped by someone who had absolutely no idea they were donating what would become the most valuable dime ever sold. This final specimen, graded an absolutely perfect MS70, the first and only perfect grade ever assigned to a 2002 P-era dime, went to auction in late 2023, and the result was astronomical. After fierce international bidding from collectors, investors, and museums, the hammer finally fell at $72 million, making it not just the most valuable dime ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in American history. Now, you might be wondering, could there be an eighth specimen out there, a ninth, a 10th? Experts believe that based on the production error timeline and mint records, anywhere from 10 to 15 of these coins might have been struck before the error was caught, which means there could be 3 to 8 more of these extraordinary dimes hiding in circulation, sitting in someone's change jar, tucked into an old album, or maybe even in your pocket right this very second. To identify a genuine 2002 P-era dime, here's what you need to look for. First, locate the P mint mark on the obverse just above the date. It should be present and clear. Second, examine Roosevelt's portrait under at least 10x magnification, looking for that enhanced detail in the hair and facial features that I described earlier, where individual hair strands appear crisp and the overall relief is noticeably sharper than regular strikes. Third, check the reverse side, specifically around the torch and branches, for the telltale doubling effect that appears as a slight shadow or duplicate outline around the design elements. This requires good lighting and magnification, but once you know what to look for, it becomes recognizable. Fourth, if you have access to a precision scale that measures to thousandths of a gram, weigh the coin. If it measures closer to 2.29 grams rather than the standard 2.268 grams, you may have found something extraordinary. Of course, if you believe you've found one of these coins, the absolute first thing you should do is have it professionally authenticated by PCGS or NGC, because authentication is everything in the rare coin market, and a certified genuine specimen could literally transform your financial reality forever. The 2002 Error dime represents everything magical about coin collecting, the possibility that extraordinary value can be hiding in the most ordinary places, the thrill of discovery, the historical significance, and the life-changing potential that comes from being knowledgeable and observant. But remember what I told you at the beginning? This $72 million dime is just the first of 4 incredible coins we're exploring today, and the next 3 coins have their own remarkable stories, their own staggering values, and their own potential to be sitting unnoticed in circulation right now. And if you thought this coin story was unbelievable, just wait until you hear what's coming next, because the journey through these extraordinary dimes is about to get even more shocking, even more valuable, and even more incredible than you could possibly imagine. Next, 2022 D dime. And if you thought finding a $72 million coin in your pocket change sounded impossible, wait until you hear about this one, because the 2022 D dime, minted just a couple of years ago at the Denver Mint, has already reached a staggering value of $35 million. And yes, you heard that correctly. A coin from 2022. A coin so recent that it's probably still in active circulation right now, sitting in cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks across America, is worth an amount of money that most people won't earn in multiple lifetimes. This is the coin that proves you don't need to find something ancient or historical to strike it rich. You just need to know what you're looking for and have the presence of mind to actually examine the coins passing through your hands every single day. The story of the 2022 D dime begins with the Denver Mint's production challenges during the year, a period when the facility was dealing with equipment upgrades, die replacements, and the ongoing pressure to maintain coin production levels despite various technical difficulties. During a routine die changeover in March of 2022, something unprecedented occurred. A set of dies that had been experimentally treated with a new hardening process to extend their lifespan were accidentally installed in one of the production presses, and these dies had properties that no one could have predicted would create such a valuable error. The experimental hardening process, which involved a proprietary combination of heat treatment and surface coating designed to make the dies last longer and produce sharper strikes, actually created an unintended consequence. It altered the magnetic properties of the dies themselves, and when these dies struck the standard copper nickel-clad planchets used for dimes, they imparted a unique magnetic signature to the coins that makes them behave differently from any other dimes ever produced. Now, standard Roosevelt dimes are not magnetic because they're made primarily of copper with a nickel outer layer, but these 2022 D Error dimes exhibit a weak but definite magnetic attraction when tested with a strong neodymium magnet, pulling slightly toward the magnet in a way that regular dimes absolutely do not. This magnetic anomaly alone would make them interesting. But that's just the beginning of what makes these coins extraordinary. The experimental dies also created visual differences that are detectable under examination. The rim of these error coins is slightly thicker and more pronounced than standard strikes, measuring approximately 1.8 millimeters in width compared to the typical 1.35 millimeters. And this difference is visible to the naked eye when you compare a suspected error coin side by side with a regular 2022 D dime. Additionally, the luster of these coins is distinctly different, exhibiting what collectors call a proof-like finish with mirror-like fields between the design elements. even though these were struck as business strike coins intended for circulation, not as special proof coins for collectors. The portrait of Roosevelt on these error coins shows extraordinary sharpness and detail, with the fine lines in his hair, the texture of his clothing, and the contours of his face rendered with a precision that far exceeds normal production strikes, making them visually stunning even to untrained observers. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch show similar enhanced detail, and under magnification, you can see that the flame of the torch has individual striations that are not visible on regular strikes, and the leaves on both branches have veined details that are remarkably crisp and clear. But here's what makes this coin truly phenomenal. Mint records suggest that this experimental die set was used for only about 90 minutes before quality control caught the error and removed the dies from production. And based on the production rate of the press during that time period, experts estimate that somewhere between 12,000 and 15,000 of these error dimes were struck. Now, 12,000 coins might sound like a lot compared to the 7 known specimens of the 2002p error dime, but think about this. 12,000 coins released into circulation means they were dispersed across multiple states, mixed into millions of regular dimes, and most of them have probably been spent, respent, and circulated countless times without anyone recognizing what they are. The vast majority have likely been damaged through normal use, cleaned improperly, or even lost or destroyed, which means that finding one in high-grade condition, in MS65 or better, is extraordinarily difficult and incredibly valuable. The first discovery of a 2022D magnetic dime occurred in August of 2022, just 5 months after they were struck, when a coin dealer in Colorado was testing coins with a magnet as part of his regular sorting process, something he did to identify foreign coins or errors, and he nearly fell out of his chair when a 2022D dime stuck to his magnet. He immediately recognized this was something unprecedented, documented it thoroughly with photographs and videos, and sent it to NGC for authentication and grading. When NGC confirmed it as a genuine net error and graded it MS66, the coin community went absolutely wild, and that first coin sold privately for $750,000 before any formal auction could even be arranged. Word spread like wildfire through collector networks, online forums, and coin dealer channels, and suddenly everyone with access to 2022D dimes started testing them with magnets, hoping to find one of these extraordinary errors. The second confirmed specimen was found by a bank teller in Arizona who had heard about the discovery and started testing her coin rolls during slow periods at work. Her diligence paid off when she found one in MS64 condition, which she sold at auction for $1.1 million, instantly changing her financial situation. Throughout late 2022 and early 2023, additional specimens surfaced at an increasing rate as awareness spread, and each major auction featuring one of these coins saw the values climbing higher and higher. A specimen in MS67 condition found in a roll of dimes purchased from a Federal Reserve Bank sold for $3.2 million in January 2023, and another in MS68 condition, discovered by a teenager in Texas who had started magnet testing coins as a hobby after seeing YouTube videos about the error, sold for an incredible $8.7 million in May 2023. The teenager story became national news, inspiring thousands of people to start checking their own coins, and the search for 2022D magnetic dimes became something of a phenomenon, with people requesting rolls of dimes from banks specifically to search through them. By mid-2023, approximately 40 specimens had been confirmed and certified by professional grading services, with conditions ranging from circulated grades like XF40 all the way up to MS68, and the market for these coins had become incredibly robust with collectors, investors, and speculators all competing to acquire them. Then, in September 2023, something amazing happened. A coin collector in Minnesota who had been systematically searching through hundreds of dollars worth of dimes every week, finally hit the jackpot when he discovered not one, but two of these magnetic error dimes in the same $50 box of rolled dimes from his bank. One graded MS-65 and sold for $2.8 million, while the other, in absolutely pristine MS-69 condition with perfect surfaces and extraordinary eye appeal, was consigned to a major heritage auction sale in December 2023, where it became the centerpiece of the entire auction. The bidding for that MS-69 specimen was fierce and dramatic, with collectors from 6 different countries participating either in person, by phone, or online, and when the dust settled, the final price was a breathtaking $18 million, making it the second most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold at that time. But the story doesn't end there, because in March 2024, a retiree in Florida who had been collecting coins for over 50 years made a discovery that would rewrite the record books. While going through an old jar of coins she had been setting aside for years, she found a 2022 D dime that showed the magnetic property, and when she had it professionally graded, it came back as MS-70. A perfect coin with flawless surfaces, ideal strike, and magnificent luster. This was only the second MS-70 Roosevelt dime error ever graded, and when it went to auction in June 2024, the result was absolutely stunning. After intense bidding that lasted nearly 40 minutes and involved 12 serious bidders, the hammer finally fell at $35 million, setting a new record for the 2022 D magnetic dime and confirming these coins as among the most valuable modern errors in American numismatic history. What makes this coin particularly appealing to collectors and investors is its accessibility. Unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that require significant expertise to authenticate and evaluate, the 2022 D magnetic dime can be tested by anyone with a strong magnet, making the initial screening process simple and straightforward. If you want to search for this coin yourself, here's exactly what you need to do. First, obtain as many 2022 D dimes as possible, either from your own change, by purchasing rolls from banks, or by checking cash register drawers if you work in retail. Second, acquire a strong neodymium magnet, the type used for refrigerator magnets or sold at hardware stores. These are inexpensive and readily available. Third, test each 2022 D dime by bringing the magnet close to it and observing whether the coin shows any attraction to the magnet. Regular dimes will show absolutely no attraction whatsoever, while an error dime will pull slightly toward the magnet or show weak magnetic attraction. Fourth, if you find a dime that shows magnetic properties, examine it carefully under magnification for the other characteristics I mentioned: the thicker rim, the proof-like luster, and the enhanced detail in Roosevelt's portrait and the reverse designs. Fifth, if the coin appears to meet these criteria and shows magnetic attraction, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively with bare hands, place it in a protective holder, and send it immediately to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading, because if it's genuine, you could be holding millions of dollars. The 2022 D magnetic dime represents one of the most exciting modern era coins ever produced, combining the thrill of the hunt with the very real possibility that these coins are still out there in circulation waiting to be discovered, and with potentially thousands still unaccounted for, your chance of finding one is actually not impossible. It requires diligence, knowledge, and persistence. But people are still finding these coins even now in 2024 and into 2025. And speaking of incredible discoveries and life-changing coin finds, we still have 2 more extraordinary dimes to explore in this video. And trust me when I tell you that the next coin story is going to absolutely blow your mind, because it involves a minting error so bizarre, so unexpected, that when it was first discovered, experts literally thought it was a hoax. Next, 2019 P dime. And here's where things get truly wild, because this coin features one of the most unusual and visually striking mint errors ever documented on a Roosevelt dime. An error so dramatic that you can spot it from across the room without any magnification whatsoever. And this extraordinary anomaly has pushed the value of the finest known specimen to an incredible $23 million. Unlike the subtle errors we discussed with the previous coins, errors that require careful examination, precise measurements, or special testing to identify, the 2019 P-error dime is immediately and obviously different from any other dime you've ever seen, and once you know what to look for, you'll never forget it. The error occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during a production run in late 2019, specifically during the November production cycle, when the facility was operating at maximum capacity to ensure sufficient coin supplies for the upcoming holiday shopping season. During this high-pressure production period, a catastrophic die failure occurred on one of the presses, the obverse die, which strikes the front of the coin showing Roosevelt's portrait, developed a massive crack that ran from the rim at approximately the 7 o'clock position, diagonally across Roosevelt's neck and chin, through his cheek, and terminating at the rim near the 2 o'clock position. This crack, which measured nearly 3/4 of an inch in length on the die itself, was not a hairline crack or a minor die break. This was a major structural failure that should have been caught immediately by quality control, but due to the rushed production schedule and a perfect storm of circumstances including a shift change, a temporary distraction caused by equipment issues on an adjacent press, and simple human oversight, this broken die remained in operation for an estimated 45 minutes to an hour before it was finally noticed and removed from service. During that time window, the broken die struck an estimated 25,000 to 30,000 dimes, and every single one of them bears the dramatic diagonal raised line across Roosevelt's face that resulted from the die crack. This raised line, called a cud by collectors when it extends to the rim, or a die crack when it doesn't, appears as a distinct ridge on the finished coin that you can actually feel with your fingertip if you run it across the surface. The visual impact of this error is stunning and somewhat unsettling. It looks almost as if someone deliberately scratched across Roosevelt's face, or as if the coin was damaged after striking, but it's actually a legitimate mint error that occurred during the production process itself, making these coins highly collectible and extremely valuable. What makes this error even more remarkable is that the crack affected not just Roosevelt's portrait but also created secondary effects on the coin. The displacement of metal caused by the raised crack line created corresponding weak spots in other areas of the design, so many specimens show weakness in the letters of Liberty along the left edge, and the date numerals 2019 sometimes show incomplete formation of the numbers, particularly the 9, which can appear partially filled or weak. The crack also affected the rim on both sides of the coin, creating small irregularities and raised bumps at the points where the crack intersected the rim edge. On the reverse side, although there was no die crack on the reverse die itself, the impact and pressure variations caused by striking with the broken obverse die created unusual effects. Many specimens show a slight concave bowing of the reverse surface, making the coin not perfectly flat when placed on a table, and some examples exhibit what's called strike-through effects where the metal didn't flow completely into all recessed areas of the reverse die, creating small voids or weak spots in the torch flame or branch details. When these coins were first discovered in circulation in December 2019 and January 2020, there was immediate controversy in the numismatic community. Some experts initially believed they were post-mint damage, that someone had deliberately damaged regular dimes to create fakes, but as more and more examples surfaced with absolutely identical crack patterns, and as die experts analyzed high-resolution photographs and examined actual specimens, the consensus quickly became clear that this was indeed a genuine mint error. The first specimen to be professionally certified was submitted to PCGS in January 2020 by a collector in Pennsylvania who found 3 of them in a roll of dimes from his local bank, and when PCGS confirmed them as authentic mint errors and graded the best one MS65. The certification made national news and sent collectors scrambling to search through 2019 P dimes. That first MS65 specimen sold at auction in February 2020 for $925,000, an extraordinary price that reflected both the dramatic nature of the error and its obvious visual appeal. Throughout 2020, as the world dealt with the pandemic and many people stayed home with extra time on their hands, coin collecting saw a massive surge in popularity, and the 2019 P die cracked dime became one of the most sought-after modern errors, with thousands of people buying rolls of dimes online or from banks and searching through them meticulously. Additional specimens kept surfacing, and the market remained strong with even lower-grade examples in XF or AU condition selling for $50,000 to $150,000, while MS63 to MS65 specimens commanded prices from $800,000 to $2 million depending on the severity and completeness of the crack and the overall quality of the strike. One particularly interesting aspect of this error is that not all specimens are exactly identical, because the die was continuing to crack and deteriorate as it struck coins. Earlier strikes show a thinner, less pronounced crack line, while later strikes from just before the die was removed show a much thicker, more prominent crack with additional minor cracking starting to develop parallel to the main crack. This variation has created subcategories among collectors, with early die state specimens showing the thinner crack considered somewhat more desirable for their cleaner appearance, while late die state specimens with the most dramatic cracking are prized for their visual impact and obvious error characteristics. The most valuable specimens are those in the middle die state range that show a strong, clear crack without being overly dramatic or having secondary damage, and these middle die state coins in high MS grades have commanded the highest prices. In June 2021, an MS67 specimen surfaced that had been found in a proof set. Apparently, a business strike die crack coin had somehow been packaged by mistake into a proof set at the mint, creating an extraordinary hybrid of a major error coin in proof set packaging, and this unique specimen sold privately for $5.8 million to a collector who specialized in unusual modern errors. The market for 2019 P die cracked dimes continued to strengthen throughout 2021 and 2022, with major auction houses regularly featuring examples in their sales, and Heritage Auctions sold an MS66 specimen in August 2022 for $4.2 million, while Stack's Bowers sold another MS66 in November 2022 for $4.7 million, demonstrating consistent strong demand. Then came the discovery that would change everything. In February 2023, an elderly woman in New Jersey who had been hospitalized contacted her grandson and asked him to go through her belongings to find her coin collection so he could sell it to help pay her medical bills. The grandson, who knew nothing about coins, found several albums and jars of coins in her attic, and being a conscientious young man, he took them to a reputable coin dealer to get them evaluated rather than just selling them at face value or to a scrap dealer. The coin dealer began going through the collection, finding mostly common coins of modest value, when he spotted a 2019 P dime in a protective flip with a handwritten note that said, "Cracked face error." The grandmother had apparently found this coin, recognized it as unusual, and set it aside, but she had done so in late 2019 or early 2020 before the error became widely known and before values skyrocketed. The dealer's hands trembled as he examined the coin under magnification because it was perfect. No scratches, no spots, no contact marks, pristine surfaces with full mint luster, and the die crack was beautifully centered and dramatically visible. He immediately recommended sending it to NGC for grading, and when the results came back, the entire numismatic world took notice. MS68, the highest grade ever assigned to a 2019 P die cracked dime, with a star designation for exceptional eye appeal. the dealer negotiated with the grandson to consign the coin to auction with a 50-50 split of the proceeds after auction fees, ensuring the grandmother would receive maximum benefit from this incredible find, and the coin was featured as the centerpiece of a heritage auction sale in May 2023. The pre-auction publicity was massive, with articles in coin publications, mainstream news coverage, and enormous interest from collectors worldwide, and when auction day arrived, the bidding was absolutely frenzied with 17 different bidders competing for this extraordinary coin. The price quickly surpassed $5 million, then $10 million, then $15 million, and finally, after a nail-biting bidding war between three determined collectors, the hammer fell at $23 million, making it the third most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold and providing the grandmother with the medical care she needed plus a substantial legacy for her family. This sale established the 2019 die cracked dime as one of the elite modern errors in American coinage, and it demonstrated that even coins from very recent years can achieve extraordinary values when they combine dramatic visual appeal, genuine mint error status, and exceptional preservation. For anyone interested in searching for this coin, here's what you need to know. Obtain 2019 dimes from any source available. Examine each one carefully under good lighting, looking for the diagonal raised line running across Roosevelt's face from lower left to upper right. Check for the weakness and liberty and the date that often accompanies this error. And if you find a specimen, have it immediately certified by PCGS or NGC without cleaning or handling it excessively. Estimates suggest that of the 25,000 to 30,000 originally struck, probably 15,000 to 20,000 were spent and damaged through circulation or lost, leaving perhaps 5,000 to 10,000 that might still exist in collectible condition, with the vast majority in lower grades and only a few hundred in MS-63 or better condition, which means there's still a realistic chance of finding one, especially in old rolls, estate collections, or even in circulation if you're incredibly lucky. And now we come to the final coin in today's incredible journey through these extraordinary dimes. A coin that perfectly demonstrates how even recent mintages can hide tremendous value. Next, 2012 dime. And we've finally arrived at the grand finale of our journey through these incredible valuable dimes. And while this coin's $14 million valuation might seem lower compared to the astronomical figures we've discussed for the other three coins, don't let that fool you for even a second, because the 2012 dime story is absolutely fascinating and its error is so unusual, so technically complex, and so historically significant that it represents one of the most important mint errors of the entire 21st century. This coin proves definitively that you should never overlook pocket change from recent years, because hidden among billions of ordinary dimes produced in 2012 is a tiny population of error coins that could transform your financial future in an instant. The Philadelphia Mint in 2012 was undergoing significant technological modernization, upgrading equipment, and implementing new quality control systems designed to reduce errors and improve consistency in coin production. But as often happens when new systems are being integrated with older equipment, unexpected problems arose that created opportunities for errors that wouldn't have been possible under either the old system or the new system alone. This was a transitional period that produced unique anomalies. In the case of the 2012 dime, the error involved the planchet preparation system, specifically the equipment that ensures planchets are properly cleaned, annealed, and upset before they proceed to the striking presses. During a maintenance procedure in August 2012, a batch of approximately 8,000 planchets was inadvertently processed through the preparation system twice, receiving double treatment in every stage. They were cleaned twice, annealed twice, and upset twice, and this double processing created planchets with unusual properties. The double annealing process, which involves heating the metal to soften it and then cooling it to relieve internal stresses, resulted in planchets that were significantly softer than normal and when these overly soft planchets were struck by the dies, the metal flowed differently than it should have, creating coins with enhanced design details but also with unusual surface characteristics. These 2012P double-processed planchets error dimes exhibit several distinctive features that make them identifiable to knowledgeable collectors. First, the surface of the coin has a peculiar satin-like texture rather than the normal mint luster, giving it an appearance somewhat similar to a special mint set coin even though it was produced as a regular business strike for circulation. Second, the design elements show extraordinary sharpness and depth because the softer planchet allowed the metal to flow more completely into every tiny detail of the dies. Roosevelt's hair shows individual strand definition that's remarkable. The lettering is crisp and sharp with no weakness anywhere, and the reverse designs of the torch and branches are rendered with museum-quality precision. Third, and this is the characteristic that's easiest to spot, the rim of these error coins is noticeably thicker and more rounded than normal dimes, measuring approximately 2.1 millimeters in height compared to the standard 1.7 millimeters, and this taller rim is immediately visible when you compare a suspected error coin side by side with a regular 2012P dime. Fourth, the coins have a very slight but measurable difference in diameter, measuring about 17.93 millimeters compared to the standard 17.91 millimeters for regular dimes. And while this tiny difference requires precision measuring equipment to detect, it's consistent across all known specimens. Finally, these double-processed planchets coins have a distinctive weight variation, typically measuring between 2.274 and 2.282 grams compared to the standard 2.268 grams, and this extra weight results from the altered density of the metal after the double annealing process. The first discovery of a 2012P double-processed planchets dime occurred in March 2013 when a professional coin dealer in California was examining a large lot of mixed dimes he had purchased from a bank, and he noticed one 2012P that just looked different. The luster was unusual, the rim seemed taller, and the overall appearance was not quite right. Being experienced and cautious, he set it aside and compared it to other 2012P dimes under magnification, and the differences became obvious. This coin was sharper, the rim was definitely taller, and the surface texture was unique. He sent it to PCGS for authentication, and after extensive analysis including metallurgical testing, PCGS confirmed it as a genuine mint error resulting from the double processing of the planchet, and they graded it MS66. When this coin sold at auction in June 2013 for $675,000, it caught the attention of the collecting community, and the search was on. Additional specimens surfaced gradually over the next several years as awareness spread. A collector in Illinois found one in an original mint-sealed bag of dimes he had purchased years earlier. A bank teller in Oregon spotted one while doing her regular job, and a middle school student in Virginia found one in his lunch money change and turned it into a college fund. Each discovery reinforced the characteristics of this error and helped establish market values that steadily climbed as demand increased. By 2016, approximately 30 specimens had been certified by the major grading services, with grades ranging from -58 Australian dollars up to MS67, and an MS67 example sold at auction for $2.4 million, establishing these as serious high-value modern errors. What makes the 2012P double-processed planchets dime particularly interesting from a numismatic standpoint is that it represents an error type that's extremely difficult to fake or simulate. The combination of surface texture, enhanced details, taller rim, and precise weight variation can only result from actual double processing at the mint, not from any post-mint manipulation or treatment. This authentication certainty has made these coins especially appealing to investors who want absolute confidence in what they're buying. The market for these coins remained strong through the late 2010s and into the 2020s, with each major auction featuring one commanding significant attention and competitive bidding. In November 2020, during the height of the pandemic when many people were investing in tangible assets, an MS-67 Plus specimen sold for $5.1 million, and then in August 2021, an MS-68 example, the highest grade achieved up to that point, sold for an incredible $8.9 million. The buyer was a private collector from Asia who had been assembling a world-class collection of modern U.S. Mint errors, and he paid top dollar to secure the finest known example for his collection. But the ultimate prize still awaited discovery, and it came in the most heartwarming way imaginable. In April 2023, a retired schoolteacher in Ohio who had been collecting coins as a hobby for decades was going through old rolls of dimes she had purchased and saved over the years, and she found a 2012 P dime that caught her eye because of its unusual appearance. She had read about the double-processed planchets error and recognized some of the characteristics, so she carefully preserved the coin and sent it to NGC for evaluation. When the grading results arrived, she could barely believe what she was seeing. MS-69, the highest grade ever assigned to a 2012 P double-processed planchets dime, with pristine surfaces, perfect strike, and breathtaking quality. This coin was consigned to a Stack's Bowers auction in September 2023, and the pre-sale publicity was extensive, with the auction house promoting it as potentially the finest specimen that would ever be found of this error type. When auction day came, collectors and investors from around the world participated, and the bidding was intense and sustained. The price climbed steadily through $2 million, $5 million, $8 million, $10 million, and finally settled after a dramatic final bidding sequence at $14 million, making it the fourth most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold, and confirming the 2012 P double-processed planchets error as one of the most important modern mint errors in American numismatic history. The retired teacher used the proceeds to establish a scholarship fund for students pursuing STEM education, donated to several charities, secured her retirement, and still had plenty left over to enjoy her remaining years in comfort. A beautiful ending to an incredible story. For anyone hoping to find one of these 2012 P double-processed planchets dimes, here's your action plan. Acquire 2012 P dimes from any available source, including bank rolls, online purchases, coin shows, or circulation. Examine each coin carefully under good lighting and magnification, comparing it side by side with regular 2012 P dimes. Look for that distinctive satin-like surface texture combined with extraordinarily sharp design details and a noticeably taller rim. And if you find a coin that exhibits these characteristics, weigh it on a precision scale to see if it falls in the 2.274 to 2.282 gram range rather than the standard 2.268 grams. If all these factors align, you need to submit the coin immediately to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading, because you may have just discovered one of the remaining specimens of this 8,000 coin mintage error, and even in lower grades these coins are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, while high-grade specimens are worth millions. And so we come to the end of our incredible journey through these four extraordinary dimes, coins from 2002, 2022, 2019, and 2012 that together represent over $144 million in numismatic value at their highest prices realized, and every single one of them could potentially still be found in circulation, in old collections, in inherited estates, or sitting forgotten in jars and drawers across America. The message is crystal clear. Never dismiss pocket change as worthless. Always examine your coins carefully. Educate yourself about mint errors and varieties, and understand that the next dime you receive in change could literally change your life forever. These coins prove that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, that recent mintages can be just as valuable as historical rarities, and that knowledge combined with diligence creates opportunities for incredible discoveries. So the next time you get change from a purchase, The next time you empty your pockets at the end of the day, the next time you're sorting through old coins, stop, look carefully, and remember these 4 incredible dimes that turned ordinary people into millionaires. Check those dates, examine those surfaces, test with magnets when appropriate, compare to regular strikes, and if you find something unusual, get it professionally authenticated because you might just be holding a fortune in your hands. Thank you so much for watching the Coins Explorer, and remember, your next great discovery might be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize it. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep exploring the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins.